Welcome back to Switch to Linux. No camera today. I just want to do a brief little discussion on some PDFs because I had a very interesting client request come through where one of his clients has a employee application and would like to have it all active PDFs. So I said, well, go ahead and send me a copy of it. And it's like 30 pages long. I'm like, well, that's going to take like 657,000 years. But it turns out that most of it is various government forms, which might actually mean we could need to change the form every few years, but we'll figure that part out as we need. But part of this is that there are different IRS forms available, and you can actually go online and find these. So if you're doing anything that requires like an F9, this is the FW4 for various withholdings and things, you can grab these online, and usually they're put together in such a way that you can actually fill everything out directly on them. The problem is that there's two different ways of doing these forms. One of these is the logical way, which the current W4, the 2023 W4, actually works quite well with Linux in every instance. But then if you look at the I-9, which is the employment eligibility verification, this one is actually, I think this one's, the problem is this one's a little bit older of a form, and it utilizes some proprietary things from Adobe. So we needed to figure out how to get these things working. Also, we wanted to figure out, can we merge PDFs together in such a way that we can keep the active components? Now, I've done this in the past by using PDF Arranger, but that's just basic PDFs. Now, before we get into all this, let's talk very briefly about PDFs, because some people misunderstand what they are. A PDF was designed primarily to not break format of a document, which means inherently they are generally uneditable documents. With your fun exception of forms that you can do this with the active forms in here, this is definitely something that you want to have some interaction with, but you can't be having this form changing all its shapes and designs. These were not designed to be editable forms, which is why they're so painful to edit. That's okay, and that's intentional. So when people complain you can't edit a PDF on Linux, whatever else, you're not supposed to edit a PDF. All right, but you might need to merge some things together. Now, one thing that, of course, there's PDF Shuffler. The other thing that can actually merge PDFs you might find is ImageMagick using the convert command. The problem is ImageMagick treats a PDF like an image, kind of like GIMP does. So if I were to take this same IRS form here and I were to open this guy up in GIMP, I can actually open it up and I will be able to see all of the different styles and things, but it's not going to have any form information. So let's go ahead and import this. So you'll see that we have all of the information here as an image, but all of the active form components are going to be completely disabled. Now, LibreOffice is able to manipulate forms and work within the constraints of your active forms. And this is actually what I'm going to use to make the custom parts of the job application. I'm going to take the document forms that they have, run them through LibreOffice, and make the form fields accurate or fillable. Now, right here, I would have to, I think, turn on some things. I don't remember exactly where they all are. The form here might still have the active components in it. I think it actually does. We're not working with that now, but what I wanted to point out here is that if you open it up and you don't have all your fonts set right, you'll see that it does kind of break the layout of the document. And so we have to take into account that as well. So we don't want to just go ahead and open this up in LibreOffice and try and assemble my form that way. That will break the pre-existing forms and make a lot of extra work. Now, let's talk about some of the other Linux applications. The basic default document viewer, which is available in GNOME, this one works just fine on the correctly created FW4, as you can see. But as some people have noted in some other channels, some PDFs don't work quite as well. So here is that i9, which is not built correctly. This one appears to be working now. Sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. And this is the problem, is you may fill them out and you may not actually be able to get them all to work because of the way they're put together. So we're going to open this guy up in Ocular, which has a little bit better information. You'll see here that it tells us that this system is probably not going to work as well because of the version of Adobe Acrobat it was created with. And I guess this one was made not too long ago. So we'll click on that, and then we're going to click our Show Forms. And what you're seeing here is it's not actually filling out the information, okay? You can see up here it uses, the question is it uses XFA forms. That is the proprietary thing. Now we're getting back to one of those Linux arguments. Here things are actually showing up now again. Sometimes there's a delay when they show up. So Ocular is certainly a good thing. Now the one thing that is always going to work on these guys is going to be Firefox or Firefox-based browsers after version 91. So if you are working with a form in Linux and you're not able to get the forms to fill out, and some of them will and some of them will not, use LibreWolf, Firefox, or any other Mozilla-based browser after this. And because what they did is, inside of this particular build, what they did is they actually have the ability to work with the XFA forms inside of your browser. Now, this is dealing with inside of your About config. Let's look for PDF, and you'll see PDF.js. The PDF.js is what enables your XFA forms down here to work. So you can see PDF.js enable XFA. So this is going to be your go-to application anytime you need to fill out a form if it's not working with your basic document viewer. So just be aware of that. So I'm using LibreWolf here. You can use Firefox as well, as long as you are above version 91. And this one here, I believe I'm running 97 on this computer. So we're at 97. So everything's going to work out here. Now, let's get back to my original problem. This application that they sent me contains the form I9, it contains the FW4, and then it contains a bunch of other things that is specific to their particular company. All right, so what we wanted to do is figure out a solution to merge these together and keep the active components. That's the thing that we are focusing on here today. So of course I talked about ImageMagick. That deals with images, so it removes all active forms. Even the PDF shuffler or PDF arranger, this one here actually has the same overall problem. So let's go ahead and take our two forms here, drop them in here, and you see I can arrange them whatever way I want. Now if I do a save as, let's just save this as a combined test PDF. Okay, so you can see mismatch field, verifications, no XMP equivalent, so it was discarded. Basically says, oh, what's that? Well, it just discarded all of our useful form information. Open this guy back up with Ocular, and you'll see no forms. Nothing able to be filled out. Yikes. So that did not work. Let's go ahead and look at LibreWolf, because again, that deals with your fillable form. Oh, this is still fillable. Really? That's interesting. I completely did not expect that. So I guess that's going to work, but it doesn't show up in Ocular or in your basic document viewer. That's exciting. Let's go ahead and though talk about the real solution, which is PDFTK. PDFTK is a PDF toolkit from PDF Labs. Now, this is available in many Linux distributions. PDFTK is the command line utility for this guy. Now, the latest versions of Ubuntu are taking it out because, hey, snaps. So you might need to use a repository for installing it there. But Over here, you can get how you use it. PDFTK, you input your files. We have a variety of different applications, and then we talk about what we're doing as far as your combining things together. Bursting is going to separate them out. So we have a lot of different options, and then we have some ways to test them out here. So what we're actually going to do is let's start with PDFTK, and then we're going to input our documents. So our FW4, and then let's do our I9. Let's do I9 paper version. And then what we're going to need to do is you run cat, which is going to be the command to merge them together, and then our output file. Let's do output, and then let's give it a name. Let's give this we'll just call this one combined using our thing as before, .pdf. Now there is another one which is drop_xfa if you'd like to drop that. I found it doesn't seem to matter if I run that or not. It doesn't actually change the basic default functionality of the built-in Linux applications. But we go ahead and do this. Now, it does tell us that the paper version from the IRS has an owner password. It doesn't stop us from doing anything, but they say, please respect the copyright of the IRS that's trying to steal all of our money. Okay, that's exciting. Now, when we open this guy up, we can see that inside of our basic GNOME tools here, that the F4 works. And then the I9 part, I'm finding... my apologies. If you hit the D key and you're not inside there, you're actually just going to get that happening. What I found is that these sometimes will work as we did the previous ones, and sometimes they will not. So what you'll see here is that right now it appears things aren't really working. You can see the data is still there. It's just not going to show up. Let's go ahead and print the document out and see what happens if we print this guy to a file. So let's go desktop, PDFs. Sure, we'll just call it output and print this. And if it works, we'll be able to see the data here. But I think in my early tests, usually it does not. So the first one is definitely working. And down at the I9, you'll see that it did not save and bring in our data. All right, but that's just because it has that XFA inside. So this is back to our combined. Open it up with LibreWolf. Now we have all of our information in here. There's our FW4 works, and here is our I9. All right, now if I print this one out, save to PDF, save... desktop PDFs, and we'll call it output, overwriting the other one that didn't work correctly. So it's saving the data. And then once this is saved, then what we should see this time is we open this one up. Okay, we can see that it did indeed save the I9 information, and it did indeed save the FW4 information. So the PDFTK is going to be able to combine already active PDFs together in order to have basically a bigger combined file with keeping all of your basic stuff combined. The big problem we have here is if the person created it with the modern Adobe Acrobat utilizing Adobe's proprietary system with the XFA forms, that is the thing that usually throws loop for some people. And some people don't understand that, yeah, there's different things. This is not a limitation of Linux. This is a proprietary problem with Adobe. But we do still have open source options around that on Linux. If you encounter a PDF form that you cannot seem to fill out with your basic Linux tools, use that Firefox version 91 or later. And of course, it doesn't have to be Firefox. It could be LibreWolf as well, which of course you can just download the standalone package, run it one time, run your application, then delete it if you're seriously opposed to it. So there are solutions for it, and I did want to do this brief video just to show you PDFTK because I had never heard about this application. Good command line tool. They do have some nice information here. If we had the IRS password for the I-9, we could have entered it here. They might make it available. I don't know. Let's see. Let's just do a quick search for password. There's nothing on here to suggest what the password is, but it's some government file. They probably didn't even know they password protected it. I don't know. But you can see here here's your basic input. Run PDF TK. Here's your first input. Here's the second input. The cat, the output, and then the output of the named file. And then this is what cat does. So this assembles the pages together, concatenates pages from the file to create a new PDF. Use cat to merge PDF pages or split pages from documents. You can use it to rotate individual pages. So you can see the documentation on the site does have the things that you would need to get it all figured out. They do have a GUI option as well, I think somewhere. Let's see. At least on Windows. This downloadable here is a Windows. This one here allows you to do some extra functions, which is also probably Windows. Oh, XP Windows for $4. And then PDFTK Server is the command line tool. So you can actually download it. Let's see. Somewhere on here is actually the download options for it, which gives us all of the installs for all of your different Linux distributions. So if you find yourself needing to do work with PDFs, this is a good option you might have a look at, and a good command line tool for you command line junkies that want to have more fun stuff to do. Combine, merge, separate, flip, rotate, and keep all of those active components, or even drop the active components of your PDFs. So there we have it. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you next time. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.